Say something. Why is the music playing so bad? Hmm. Oh, it's because it's Discord. Got it. Because it's to get myself in the mood. Okay, so I'm gonna break down combat 101, and I'm gonna pretty much explain two things we're gonna go to through today to not overwhelm you with facts. One of them is your party role. Every class has a significant or specific role that they have to fulfill, and you have unique roles, but they usually fall into four different categories, and that's what we're gonna discuss. A second one is team composition, pretty much the way you strategize before you enter a battle. So let's begin by breaking down your characters. Your characters consist of of four types of how should I put it, classes, I guess. Um, the first one and the most obvious is the idea of a tank. A tank is an individual that can take hits but not lash out as many. Okra is a prime, what is it called, example of it. Seeing how she does have 18 AC and a lot of HP, she does lack in the dealing damage opportunity. Now you might think, but wait a second, she can kill an enemy in one hit. True, but that is only because she uses her divine spell, which is thunder. I think what is it called? Holy Smite, right? Smite, which does additional 1d8 or 1d10 damage, which can add up to about 20 plus. But she can use it about 3 times, if I'm correct, which is limited. You were fighting 7 opponents, and that was just one encounter of like 5 to come. Her job is not to deal damage, it's to take damage. With such a high AC and HP, she's a bullet sponge. She's the front line defense, the ones to take a hit and the ones to defend you. Followed by that is what I like to call a glass cannon. That those roles fall to Utility and Lucian. A glass cannon is a DPS in a sense of a way where they deal high damage, but they cannot take damage. In a sense of a way where you can make 15 damage per round, if not 20, with your cannon, your spells. The problem comes with your AC and HP. It is very low for both of you. So you're very squishy, but your point in the group is to dish out huge damage from distance. Up close, you're not fared so well. Later down the line, we have one of the most unique classes, and that is a support. A support falls into the category of what it says, to support someone. It's one of the most versatile classes, but it is not meant to specialize in anything. A support does not deal damage. Its whole point is to control the battlefield and help out your companions, whether it is to give them advantages to HP. A support is usually squishy and doesn't do too much damage, which is quite common. But where they do shine is to make other people shine, either by giving them, advantages and whatnot. A very integral point about the support is that they're very crucial in a way where you almost don't notice their actions, but they are always helping contribute to push it a little bit further. But due to their squishiness, they're one of the most. They should never be pretty much revealed to the battlefield. They should never expose themselves because if they do, it's like an egg yolk, right? It's the yellow middle. It's the main brain. It should be protected and it should pretty much help out. It is kind of the spinal core, I would almost call it. Just after them are what I call this is quite an interesting, but I call them pretty much well, it's not a, well, I wouldn't call it versatile, but what is it called? I forgot the name that I gave them. But these classes.
Swiss knife.
No, no.
Because the Swiss knife can do a lot. But anyway.
Well, no, that's not it.
No.
There are. No, it's there are a very they can fulfill any role, and that's their whole deal. But they are different from each other in sense of a way where they are the same. They can almost do the same thing, but they're quite different in the way they do it. A prime example is Histrat. Histrat is one of the most she can fill up any role you want her to fill up. She's meant to kind of fill any role that is missing. She has ranged weapons, which can do a high damage from long distance, and close-up damage, which does a very decent damage. She also possesses the AC of 16 and decent HP somewhere in 20s. That gives her versatility. Versatile. I think it's versatile. Who gives a fuck? Point is, she's a versatile character that is supposed to fill any role. She's not a tank. She's not a DPS. But she can fulfill both of those roles if needs be.
What's a DPS? That's a glass cannon.
Damage per second. It is it's a glass cannon. It focuses on high damage as fast as possible, pretty much. But a glass cannon. Paris is a little bit different, where she actually is more of a glass cannon. But the reason she's in this category where she fills up a role is because he is a very, how should I say? The point of it is that it's unorthodox. Basically, Paris is supposed to hide in the shadows and cover your flanks where you don't even see anybody. And it hides, and from the shadows, it strikes and helps where it needs. So it keeps a distance, but it keeps an eyes open and tries to help out where it needs to be, but from the distance where the shadows are lied. While his strat are more in the open and can engage both melee and long ranged. And that is the basic, pretty much, build up of your team. A key note is considering how it looks and just general perspective. And your build is very, very focused on dealing high damage, but not taking damage. Many of you have AC of 13, and only Okra and Histrat having 16 and 18 AC. That makes you one of the most squishiest characters, which is majority, which is 40%. Compared to, well, I think, no, it's not 40, it's like, what is it, 80? No, my math is wrong, 70, there we go, yeah, no, it's 66, there we go, math.
You mean 2/3?
Yeah, exactly, 66.
Yeah.
So what's so special when you do consider that is that it's a very your battle, you should never have long fights, drawn out fights. Every battle should be quick, precise, and you should know how to handle your battles. You cannot break from this formation. Now that we established your roles in the party, we will begin with one of the most, well, if not the most, one of the, it is the most important, I would say, things when it comes to combat, and that is your order, order of walking. Now, because you didn't tell me how you are placed, I just plopped you to the board without giving a crap of how it looks, and I placed you somewhere fairly. I believe it was fair. I put Hisrat up top, next with you song, Akra up front, Tilly and Lucian kind of in the back. Paris was not there, but this is kind of like how I placed you. I thought it was fair enough for you, not because you didn't tell me, and I was like, I'm not gonna fuck you over totally. But because you didn't plan, this is a horrible. If you wanna be, if you wanna max out, right, do as best as you can. This is one of the most. It's not one of the most, but it's a horrible setup. The battle was pretty much split in an ambush where there were 7 enemies in total, 3 coming from the top and 4 from the bottom. The battle followed pretty much to recreate it. You saw them from the north coming down, which they got your attention. That made Akra to move forward facing this character. You and kind of his strat, I suppose, taking these on, while Tilly and Lucian was in the back. That left a lot of problems. Already, if it's not obvious, your formation is broken. Not that there was any formation, but your roles in the party was you never had any. Your tank, the purpose of a tank is to protect the others. The tank went off, took the bait, and fought away from everybody else. And once his strat even moved a little bit away, and you, Song, got exposed, you got knocked out. His strat was kind of busy, and I could sweep in from the flank, attacking your squishy characters, your DPS, which is supposed to be protected, but now they're not. And I ambushed you. And then I kept his strat busy by giving them, by having these 2 lizards kind of attacking her, continue attacking her from the bottom. And she took the bait and she started to follow them. Now I was planning to actually keep moving with them, having her continue following her, but I didn't do that because I was being nice. I didn't want to outright kill you. If I wanted to, I could let Akra come, follow me. She will eventually catch up, disengage with one of them, rush back, and now, while she's dueling with one lizard, which might take 3-4 turns, another one would be upon you, and that would change a lot in the combat aspects. There's a rule of thumb. It's called action economy. Action economy alludes to the idea of the more actions you have, the higher chance of winning. If you have one big enemy, let's say this is an alpha lizard, you might think you should attack him first because he does 2d6 damage and he has double HP. But that's wrong. You should instead attack the smaller creatures because they can do 1d6 damage, and yes, they have the half of HP of the big one, but because there are multiple of them, they can do more actions. They pretty much can hit more times, more possibilities, and so on and so forth. And if you spend your time focusing on the big guy, you will be killed by the minis. So the idea is like that one single enemy can change the tide of the battle, and it could have even crushed you. You never know. But I didn't do that. I was like, fine, let them just deal with their own stuff. So, okay, now that we have that covered, what is there that you could have done? Well, if we go back to the idea of your roles, of your roles in your party, If you follow them, there's a very standard basic. The first is that your tank, somebody that can take a hit, is supposed to always lead. And the reason behind it is if there is
You're
any
dropping
traps.
out a bit here.
Huh?
You're dropping out a little bit.
I'm dropping out.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Didn't hear you very clear.
Do you hear me clear now?
Now it's a bit better.
Okay, tell me if something's up. So basically, the way it works is that a tank is supposed to take on a hit, and majority of times, every battle you face it head on, up front. Majority of times, enemies are in front of you, and hence it's always important to have your tank to take them on and not let them pass by. That is the reason a tank should be up front. At the same time, your support should be in the middle. The reason it should be perfectly in the middle is because so that they can move left and right all around and reach every person. If somebody falls down from the back, they can run down. I'll explain more thoroughly, but first let's go to his threat. His threat is a diverse character where she can do ranged and melee attack. That's why she should be in the back, because with her ability to fire arrows, she can lash out damage from distance, and with her sword, she can protect you from the back against anything that might come your way. When it comes to a support should be right in the middle, usually between characters somewhere, I would say about 15 feet from each character. Why is that? Well, by having about 50 feet of distance, you have enough time to kind of like move towards Akra if she's fallen, heal her, and then run back to safety to your original position, so that you don't end up here where spending 30% of your movement or full percent of your movement, and then if his threat falls and you're not in the middle, then you have to spend 30 feet to just get back to her. You see the problem with it. By placing yourself in the middle, you are the center point where you can reach everybody. Right next to her is where the glass cannons come in. Glass cannons are supposed to be almost in the middle, but usually taking up space close, extremely close to defenders, almost being back to back. Now, why is that important? Well, by having this pretty much stance, if Lucian is alone and he's attacked, he cannot take on two lizard folk. And if he disengages and runs away, they will just run after him. Or worst case scenario, he doesn't disengage, and that would mean that he would get killed. By being next to another protector like Okra, he can disengage and the enemies cannot follow, because they will have to also disengage, wasting their action. Because Okra is next to them and she has opportunity attack, and she can defend him. That's why your glass cannons should be always next to your protectors. A good...
But wouldn't they also have an opportunity attack if Lucian? Oh no, because Lucian disengaged, so they
and
wouldn't
runs
have it.
away. It is always best for you to run away to a better position than fight in a worse condition, in worse position. Even if you're wasting one action, you can by wasting one action. If you were alone, right, or not alone, if you were standing here and you didn't disengage, these two could have attacked you 4 times. That's 4 actions. There are 4 hits. Instead, you could spend one action, get in safety, and you will not get hit. And then you can hit them from the distance. But if they hit you for 4 times, you're dead. You don't even get an action. And by having Aqua there, it just helps out to disengage and run away. A good rule of thumb is that you should be close to the defenders, far away from your equals. What I mean by that is that Tilly, Song and you should never be close. God, no. Why? Well, it's the same principle but reverse. If a lizard sees you and he runs towards you, do you see what happens? He's right next to you. Instead of having only one person locked and having to disengage like before, three of you are locked. That means three people have to use their actions to run away from him. That's three actions wasted instead of one. Akra doesn't need to waste an action. She's supposed to fight up front. But if there's three casters, it's horrible. You have to keep a distance from each other. And a distance should be somewhere between 5 to 10 feet. Usually looking something like this. Why is that? Why is this distance good enough? Well, if the lizard were to attack you, he can only reach Lucian, and at the worst case, only reach 2 players instead of 3 when he's bunched up. Because if it's even here, it can catch you. You always supposed to keep a good distance from each other. About 5 feet, even preferably 10 feet from each other. And keeping close to your defenders. Because they're supposed to protect you. Now, I didn't mention Paris because she wasn't there. But Paris is supposed to, or he wasn't there. Paris is supposed to be in the shadows. Always lurking. Because if he was in the shadows and you were moving forward, maybe he would stumble upon them. Maybe instead of going to the woods, he would go near water. And then he would see the ambush that lied ahead. That is the purpose of Paris. Is kind of being the sidelines. And if he wasn't, and the ambush was from south instead of north, then and they rushed you, right? If the enemies rushed you, the whole idea of Paris is that he's supposed to pretty much, let's say Lucian was alone, fulfill the role to kind of attack these characters next to Lucian because he's the most vulnerable. That's what I mean. And because his threat is in the back, she can fire off her bow, and if something would come behind her, she doesn't have to worry because she just get out her daggers and fight them with swords. That is the purpose of his threat. But Akra she can only take up front assault, and you squishy guys gotta lash out damage from every possible direction, helping them out but keeping a distance. Let's see. Now, one thing you should kind of like get an idea of is pretty much using. Now, this is for Lucian, but using his Watcher. Such animals as pigs and Watchers and whatnot can be used for scouting. If the Watcher was here, I'm gonna use him as a token. He pretty much could, scout ahead and warn you of danger. If he was scouting and he succeed, in advance, he will already tell you, oh, there's something suspicious here. Then you would know what was up, and you would take your battle positions. And if you know the threat is there, and you're sure that nothing is in the back, you would then move to a better position and continue, because you know that the threat is only up front. So you don't gotta worry about the flanks or the back. You know what's gonna happen. Another thing that you have to consider is always remembering your role and prioritizing. His threat and Paris, this is kind of for them to be the most. They have to be able to prioritize who to save. I'll give you an example. Let's say we have Tilly, Song, and Lucian right here. And let's say there's Tilly's cannon right here. And the Okra is in front, and his rat is here. So the reason you're placed like here, right here, is to use environment. You're here because you know the threat is somewhere here, right? So you hide behind the bushes, getting +2 AC. Great. Lucian using the cannon as cover, getting +2 AC. Amazing. And his threat is Akra is leading, and his threat is in the middle. And it's very important that his threat is in the middle. And she should be about the same distance between you and Akra, keeping about 15 feet or however many, but always having about 50-50 between each other. Why is that? Let's say there is a threat up front and it rushes towards Akra, but what you didn't expect that from the north came even more baddies, and they snuck up on you. They attacked from south and north, right? So with this situation, a good question is like, okay, who should Hisrat prioritize first? Hisrat is right in the middle, and because she's versatile, she can prioritize anybody. Now tell me, if you were to guess, okay, this is a lesson, so I'm teaching you. If you were to guess, who should Hisrat prioritize first? Just look at this. This is the cannon, okay? So it's not actually Tilly. Where should she go? Should it be Tilly and Song, Lucian and the cannon, or Akra alone?
I guess Akra's the tank, so Akra can take some hits. So not Akra then.
I think Lucian.
Okay. What do you think, Than?
I'm thinking about the difference between Lucian and Tilly setup as opposed to Song. Song and Tilly as opposed to Lucian and the cannon. Because we're all squishy anyhow. Let's just go with Lucian. Because he does deal higher damage than I do.
Okay. You're almost right, but it's wrong. The first Hisra should prioritize should be you and you. Both of you.
You who? I didn't
Both
see,
of you.
Sorry.
You, both
Song
of you.
and Tilly.
Because we're squishy. Oh, because we're flanked.
Because
No,
you're
Lucian is
super squishy. Here's the thing. Counted by points. If you think if they attack you, okay, how many did they kill? Well, you and Tilly. But no, actually not. If you look at it, you think, oh, Lucian and the cannon is equal to Tilly and Song, but it's wrong. Tilly is technically worth 2 points, not a 1 point. What do I mean by that? If Tilly
goes with her?
Exactly, if Tilly dies, the cannon doesn't work. It cannot be activated. So Tilly is worth more points, 2 points. She is worth 2 character points than just Lucian. Now, if Lucian did have his ghost watcher, it would be a little bit different story, but you get the point. You are the priority. A cannon can do some damage, but even if we get rid of the cannon, Lucian is the one that is a player. You can build a new cannon. You cannot build a new Lucian. If he dies, he's dead. There's nothing you can do. At the same time, you've exposed glass cannons to them. A support and a glass cannon. If Lucian goes down with the cannon, that is fine. Because you still have another glass cannon, which is Tilly. And you have Song, who is the versatile one, who's the support. And if you're the support, you can heal him back up. You can support them. You need versatility. If you have just one focused group, if everybody does the same thing, there's a big weakness in that. By having versatility, in your party, you can do more unique stuff and help out more each other. So the first priority should be you. The second, Lucian. You might think, what about Okra? She's taking on three of them and she's alone. It's 6 attacks per turn. Think about that. 2 attacks per lizard, that's 6 attacks in total. But here's the thing. Due to her high AC and HP, she can take it. Yes, by the time you save everybody else, she might fall. But that is fine. That is her purpose. She's supposed to hold them off, alone. And by holding them off, she is able to give you enough time to regroup. The biggest thing is that you need to have your positions in your roles. If you don't have that, you will just fail. So by killing them off, you can go back to the proper position. And even if Akra dies, you can place yourself properly and handle the rest later on by not worrying about what is behind you and not just being attacked from 2 fronts. You deal with one problem first, with the most crucial, and go down the ladder. Now, that is just one scenario, and very important to kind of like let you know how to think when it comes to defending the party members. But another thing is, this now is a lesson for Akra. Akra should be a protector. She should never fucking move. Akra got baited. Hardcore baited. She ran up, leaving you behind, and then she got ambushed from the below, and you got left alone and overrun. At that point, when it comes to Akra and Hisrat, you should associate the danger. You knew it was a surprise, you knew that they attacked you from out of nowhere. You should stand your ground. Have your shield ready. Put a reaction. If something comes close, I'll attack it. You should never move away far from your companions. The worst thing you can do is split off. You split off, you're dead. I can just maneuver around. I got 7 pieces. I can just bait you, you follow them, and then quickly go for your weakest characters. These creatures are not dumb. They know how to fight. They see the weakness. And if you do enough damage, they'll go after you, knowing that you're the link. Remember, you're just as strong as your weakest link. So Akra should always be close up, and so is Hisrat, to associate the danger. If she waited and didn't run away, she would get an idea. Oh, look, there's from bottom. They're coming in there. Hisrat would be able to jump them there. Akra would stand her ground, her position, where you would kind of like back up a little bit. Keep your distance from each other, 3 spaces or 5 feet apart. And Akra would be just bombarded with all of them, but at the end of the day, she would be able to take on the majority of them, leaving something to like this. And that's how it's supposed to be. Never rush ahead. Never rush ahead. Never. Stay with your group tight as possible. Keep distance and help each other out. It is so important. Once you break off and do your own thing, you're fucked. By knowing your roles of protector, damage dealer, support, you can properly associate of what to do and apply those techniques. By being in the middle, you can run back and forth, heal Akra, heal Hisrat. By having Tilly and Lucian in the middle,
I don't
close
actually
by.
have healing spells though.
Well, it's just an example. You could do other stuff, right? But the point
Oh, you
is,
mean like, yeah, support, as in just enhance. Oh yeah, I could give them hit points indeed, yeah.
anything. You can heal them. You can give them potions. You can help them with this. The point is, when it comes to you, you didn't specialize in dealing huge damage. You got sleeping spells. You got tremor. You got all of these, right? And all of these are support actions. You gotta understand that. Pretty much, barely any of your spells do huge damage, and that is fine because you shine in other parts, and that's why you should be in the middle. Because, fuck, I don't know. What if something in the back happens? What if it was a dark dungeon, and you needed light, and you have maybe a spell of light or something? You would be able to go back, lit it up so Lucian could see properly or something. Um, yeah. Let's see. So, just to summarize, know your job, know what you are meant for, keep the proper distance, and always stick together. Work with each other, work for each other. If one falls, the rest will fall with. And that is pretty much it. That is the first lesson, I suppose, of D&D. Simple and easy. Took us, I think, half an hour, just as I planned. Is there anything else? Well, questions?
When we're like walking into a room, um, what should the order be?
Would that even matter though? It's
Oh
not
yeah,
fighting.
oh, of course it would be. Of course.
Like if
99% of
it,
the
it would
time.
matter if there was like a trap or something.
Oh, with the assassin, it might have mattered. You're right.
Yeah.
99% of the time it matters. Akra should always be up front 99% of the time. The times she shouldn't be is when you're, I don't know, in a jungle and you need survival checks. Then you change up the position. Then Hisrat knows better about that environment, so she's up front, Akra in the back, right? You gotta kind of think about the environment. You were at the beach, you knew, and yes, I wasn't too detailed about what exactly that it looked, but I think it's obvious. You walk near the water, the danger is probably water, and probably maybe jungle or something like that, right? You could have asked for more information, who knows. Knowledge is half of the battle, so if you did the research, you would know that there's lizards that attack people. You would stay
How
away
could we
from the
have done
water.
that better? Like we should have talked to whom?
Well, first of all, it's just role playing. It's just pure role playing. When it comes to characters and NPCs out in the world, it is not about just like, I need information. It is by taking your time and kind of engaging with the world around. You kind of sat down and spoke more thoroughly with an innkeeper, played knife games with a person, done fucked around basically. Maybe you did speak to some locals and just asked them, hey, how's your daily life? Can you tell me about Blues and Lagoon? Oh, they tell you, it's like, oh, anything bothers you? Oh, yes. These lizard folk, they're taking all of our fish. Oh, so how some? It's their territory in a way, but they attack you. You should watch yourself. And through just roleplay and then mentioning, just interacting, like, okay, we know there's lizard folk, we know they're near water, we know they're aggressive. Good. That stuff helps you out a lot. Think back to the one shot, right? Remember the Yeti? You remember the kind of the stuff, the
Because
fire,
we comforted that NPC and then she told us.
all of
down?
it. Yeah, everything from the ghosts to the NPCs to the, all of it can give you the important information. It's out there. If you want it, you can get it. You know, there's no limits to this game. If you want something, there's a fucking high chance you can find it. You cannot be prepared for everything, but you can definitely try your best, right? And this is just one way of kind of like building your party. This is personally what I found the best one. Kind of having like something like this, even I would say, to not be too far, kind of like a Z, right?
See what?
Uh,
Oh, but now you
this.
have put
Yeah.
fish rod in the front. Is
that
that not?
if she
Is
was
it
in
not
the jungle,
safer to have Accra in that
if
case?
she was in the jungle because she got survival, right? If you were,
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
this was a jungle,
Yeah,
and
like
she
it
should leave.
depends.
It depends on the situation and the area.
Yeah.
Normally, this something like this should be your right? It's like an axle. You can reach them, them, them. You're not too far. You're keeping distance of 5 feet. Akra can support you. You can support them. It's just perfect. Anything comes from there, that type of stuff. Um, yes. Any more questions?
Um, so the squishies should kind of stay more towards the middle,
Yeah,
maybe?
try to. At first in the middle. But if you know where the
Yeah.
danger is, if all the danger is in front, there's no fucking point in being in the middle. Get your ass out of there,
Yeah.
right? Is right up front, kind of like keeping this somewhere. This, why this? Why is this the? If you know the danger is up front, why is this the best? Do you get Can you get an idea?
Yeah, because Akira can absorb the damage while the glass cannons can make attacks from behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and Song can uh, give support.
Yep, she can support all of you in the middle. His strat for if something happens, God knows, she can still maybe reach. But the point is, she's in the middle where she can engage melee and, you know, ranged.
Yeah.
This is kind of like the best that I think to kind of have. And you should know your roles. You should know what might happen. Now, every beast is, who knows, maybe you're just fighting one beast, then strategies might change. Maybe you're fighting monsters in underwater. Maybe you fighting dumber, smarter. All of those factors can change up, and that's why you need information. You need to seek out that information. There's always information. 99% of the time, you knew what you were fighting. You knew you were fighting the bullet. It happened. You knew you were fighting the Yeti. It happened. You knew that you would fight the lizard. It happened. I don't give out always the information, but it's there, right? No one. If you knew you're an enemy, you're like, okay, I can kind of figure out. Maybe you ask the locals. Oh, yeah, they attack us from the water. Apparently, they're good swimmers. They can hold their breath, right? It's like one of their. I don't think I can show it to you. I will expose some of my notes. But
So just like engage with the world more.
yeah, yeah, of course. Just do so. And it's not even engaging with NPCs. Like, let's just say you were like, oh, I'm walking. Okay, you're walking and doing what? I'm walking, and specifically, since we're after a ship, right? You're like, okay, I want to know where the fuck is a ship. Well, his is like, well, I want to look for tracks. I want to look for something. Maybe there's been somebody. Hmm, she's interacting with the world. Okay, yes, there's foot tracks leading to the water. Okay, strange. There's something is in the water. It maybe not be that obvious, but it might come. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
At times it's not as obvious. For example, in Bullet, you saw a crack. You saw like a rubble. It comes from down the ground. You called tremor. Bad idea. It knew where your position. But it happens. But you know, that's what you did. You understand, okay, where is it? Where does it come from? What does it do? How smart is it? And kind of estimating your environment and your pretty much everything. And yeah, playing into your strengths and knowing your role. Very important. You shouldn't running off doing something that you're not good at, right? Or just splitting up. You're a team. Remember that. Okay, any more questions?
No,
No.
not for me now. It was
Well,
really good.
okay, that was it. That's how I broke down your roles, your team composition, and strategy when it comes to kind of who to help out. It's just the basics. There's even more complicated stuff, but that'll take some other time. Okay.
I think this already would improve a lot because I never thought of this. Just
Yeah.